Paris, October 2024, your naval arms exhibition. Between the champagne glasses and oyster platters, defense contractors are circling a booth like sharks around blood in the water, but they are not looking at the weapons. They are looking at a small badge on the display screen. 2 words, combat proven. That badge just increased the price by 30%. Because in the defense industry, there is a difference between a product that works in theory and a product that works on human beings. Right now, as you watch this, Gaza is not just a war zone. It is the world's most expensive product demonstration. And the data being collected there is worth more than the missiles being dropped. Let me be clear about what we are discussing here. This is not about politics. This is not about who is right or who is wrong. This is about mechanism. This is about how modern warfare has become indistinguishable from product development, and how an entire population has been transformed into data points in the largest field test of artificial intelligence weapon systems in human history. By the end of this video, you will understand why defense company stocks spike during conflicts, why engineers are more valuable than generals, and why the technology being perfected in Gaza today will be scanning your face at a protest tomorrow. The numbers tell the story that the news will not. Since October 2023, over 70,000 people have been killed in Gaza. But here is what the defense industry sees. 70,000 test results, thousands of hours of real-world data, thermal imaging in urban environments, target tracking in high-density populations, autonomous weapon systems operating without human oversight. Every explosion you see on the news is simultaneously a tragedy and a successful product test. And those test results are being compiled, analyzed, and sold to governments around the world. Welcome to the era of algorithmic warfare, where the decision of who lives and who dies is no longer made by generals looking at maps. It is made by machine learning models processing terabytes of surveillance data. And the most sophisticated of these systems has a name: Habsora, the Gospel, an artificial intelligence targeting system that has fundamentally changed how Israel conducts military operations. And understanding how the system works is understanding how all future wars will be fought. Before Habsora, Israeli military intelligence could generate approximately 50 targets per day. Human analysts would review surveillance footage, signals intelligence, informant reports. They would build profiles. They would verify identities. They would present their findings to commanders who would make decisions. It was slow. It was labor-intensive. It was limited by human capacity to process information. Habsora changed everything. According to intelligence sources, the system now generates hundreds of potential targets per day. Not 50. Hundreds. And here's the crucial detail. The machine does not get tired. The machine does not question orders. The machine optimizes. How does it work? Habsora ingests data from every available source: satellite imagery, drone footage, cell phone tracking, social media activity. Facial recognition databases. It uses machine learning algorithms to identify patterns. Who meets with whom? Who travels where? Who communicates what? Then it assigns threat scores. And when that score crosses a threshold, a name appears on the kill list automatically. The system has transformed assassination from an art into an industrial process, a factory of death operating at machine speed. And here is where the engineering becomes truly dystopian. The system includes what developers call collateral damage parameters, acceptable civilian casualties. For a low-level operative, the algorithm might accept 15 civilian deaths as acceptable collateral. For a mid-level commander, that number increases to 100. These are not hypothetical numbers. These are the actual parameters that have been reported by intelligence officials who worked with the system. The machine does not feel guilt. The machine calculates efficiency. Dead civilians are not moral failures to the algorithm. They are acceptable outputs within predefined parameters. Think about what this means. Every smartphone in Gaza is a tracking device. Every social media post is intelligence data. Every movement through the streets is logged by overhead surveillance. The entire population is living inside a panopticon, where their digital exhaust is being fed into targeting algorithms. And because Gaza is a closed environment, because the population cannot leave, because every square meter is under surveillance, it provides something that defense contractors dream about: a controlled testing environment, a laboratory. This is not speculation. This is documented reality. Israeli defense companies openly market their products as combat proven. They advertise that their systems have been tested in real-world conditions. And what conditions could be more real than Gaza? A densely populated urban environment. 2 million people compressed into 360 square kilometers. No escape routes, total information dominance. From an engineering perspective, it is perfect. Every variable can be controlled. Every outcome can be measured. Every system can be iterated and improved. And the data collection is not limited to targeting algorithms. Biometric databases are being built. Facial recognition systems are being trained. In December 2023, Israeli forces detained healthcare workers from Kamal Adwan Hospital. They were stripped, photographed. Their biometric data was collected, some were interrogated, some were released, some disappeared into detention, but all of them became training data. Their faces, their voices, their retinal scans, all fed into machine learning models that will be sold to governments around the world as proven technology. Understanding this requires understanding what war has become in the 21st century. It is no longer just about territory or ideology. It is about data, and the entity that controls the data controls the future. Israel has positioned itself as the world leader in surveillance technology, not through theory, but through practice. Their systems have been tested on a captive population under conditions of total control, and that real-world validation is worth billions. But this is not new. We have seen this pattern before. April 26, 1937, Guernica, Spain, a small town in the Basque region with no military significance. Nazi Germany was developing its air force, the Luftwaffe. They needed to test their bombers. They needed to test their tactics. They needed to test carpet bombing on civilian populations, so they offered their services to Francisco Franco during the Spanish Civil War. Guernica became the laboratory. For 3 hours, German bombers dropped 30,000 kilograms of explosives on the town. 1,600 people died. The town was destroyed. And the Nazis learned exactly what they needed to learn: how to create firestorms, how to maximize psychological impact, how to coordinate aerial bombardment. 3 years later, they used those same tactics on Warsaw, Rotterdam, London. Guernica was not an aberration. It was a prototype. And prototypes, when successful, go into mass production. The pattern is simple. Major powers do not test new weapon systems on their own populations. They test them on peripheral populations, populations that the international community will not defend, populations that can be isolated, populations that can be controlled. And then, once the technology is proven, once the bugs are worked out, once the efficiency is optimized, that technology comes home. The technology being perfected in Gaza is already being exported. European Union border security has purchased Israeli surveillance systems. American police departments use Israeli crowd control technology. British intelligence agencies license Israeli data analysis platforms. The same facial recognition that tracks Palestinians through checkpoints is now tracking protesters in Paris, migrants at the Polish border, activists in New York. Combat proven. That label means something. It means the technology works. It means the technology has been tested under the most extreme conditions imaginable. It means the technology is ready for global deployment. Let us talk about the economics, because this is where the mechanism becomes undeniable. When conflict escalates, defense company stock prices rise. This is not conspiracy theory. This is observable market behavior. Elbit Systems, Israel's largest defense contractor, saw its stock price increase 43% in the 6 months following October 2023. Rafael Advanced Defense Systems reported record order backlogs. Investors are not stupid. They understand what combat proven means. It means intellectual property validated by bloodshed. It means patents backed by body counts. It means products with proven demand. And the demand is global. Authoritarian governments want surveillance technology that has been proven to control restive populations. Democratic governments want border security that has been proven to process mass migration. Police forces want crowd control that has been proven to suppress protests. The technology does not care about ideology. It is ideologically neutral. It simply works. And the fact that it works has been demonstrated in the most rigorous testing environment possible: actual war. Here's the part that should terrify you. Artificial intelligence improves through iteration. Every target that Habsora generates, every strike that is carried out, every outcome that is measured, all of that data flows back into the system. The algorithm learns. It improves its accuracy. It refines its parameters. It becomes more efficient. This is machine learning in its purest form. And the population of Gaza is providing the training data. They are not just victims of violence. They are involuntary participants in the development of the weapon systems that will define the next generation of warfare. And those systems are not staying in Gaza. They cannot, because the entire business model of the defense industry depends on export. You develop technology with government funding, you test it in conflict zones, you prove it works. And then you sell it to every government that wants to maintain control over their population. The progression is inevitable. Today it is used to track militants in Gaza. Tomorrow it will be used to track dissidents in your country. The technology does not distinguish between legitimate threats and legitimate protest. It only processes data and generates targets. Think about the implications. Habsora is not unique. Every major military power is developing similar systems. The United States has Project Maven. China has its own AI targeting platforms. Russia is experimenting with autonomous weapons. The race is on. And the entity that develops the most effective system, the system that can process the most data, generate the most targets, achieve the most kills with the least human oversight, that entity will dominate the future of warfare. And right now, Israel is winning that race. Not because their engineers are smarter, but because they have access to the one thing every AI needs: data, real-world data, collected from a population that cannot escape, cannot hide, cannot opt out. You're watching the birth of a new paradigm. Warfare without soldiers, killing without conscience, decisions made at the speed of computation. And the prototype is being perfected right now in Gaza. Every news report you see, every explosion, every casualty count, those are not just statistics. They are performance metrics. They are product validation. They are proof of concept. The defense industry understands something that most people do not. War is not an interruption of business. War is business, the most profitable business on earth. And the most profitable wars are the ones that generate the most data, because data is the raw material of the 21st century economy. Whoever controls the data controls the future. And there is no data more valuable than data collected under conditions of life and death, because that data has been stress tested, that data has been validated, that data works. So when you see the headlines, when you see the debates about ceasefires and humanitarian corridors and international law, understand what is really happening. Understand that parallel to the visible war, there is an invisible war. A war for market dominance in the surveillance technology sector. A war for intellectual property rights to the algorithms that will police the future. A war for the ability to sell combat-proven systems to every government on Earth. And that war is being won in the testing grounds of Gaza. History does not repeat, but it rhymes. Guernica taught the Nazis how to bomb cities. Vietnam taught the Americans how to use helicopters in jungle warfare. Iraq taught everyone how to use drones, and Gaza is teaching the world how to use artificial intelligence to automate killing. The lesson is always the same. Test your weapons on people who cannot fight back. Perfect your systems on populations the world has abandoned. And then deploy those systems globally. The technology being tested today in Gaza will be deployed tomorrow in your city. The facial recognition scanning Palestinians at checkpoints will scan you at airports. The algorithms predicting militant behavior will predict your behavior. The autonomous systems deciding who lives and dies in combat zones will decide who gets arrested at protests. This is not future speculation. This is present reality working its way through the supply chain. You think you are watching an ideological conflict. You think this is about religion, about land, about history. And maybe it is, for the people dying. But for the defense contractors, for the AI companies, for the surveillance technology firms, this is about something much simpler. This is about product development. This is about market positioning. This is about being able to put that magic label on your systems. Combat proven, tested on humans, validated by war, ready for export. Gaza is not an exception. Gaza is a prototype. And prototypes, when they prove successful, go into mass production. The surveillance state being perfected, there is the surveillance state being prepared for everywhere. The only question is how long until it arrives in your country. And the answer is, it is already here. Israeli technology is already in European police databases, already in American border security, already in Asian crowd monitoring systems. The test phase is complete. We are entering mass deployment. So if you want to see the future, do not watch the news. Watch the defense industry stock prices, watch the patent filings, watch which governments are quietly purchasing which systems. Because that will tell you more than any press conference. That will tell you what the people who profit from war already know. That Gaza was never just about Gaza. It was about building the blueprint for global population control. And the blueprint works. The data is clear. The systems are operational. The profits are flowing. And history is repeating itself with machine precision. Guernica was the laboratory for World War II. Gaza is the laboratory for the algorithmic wars of the 21st century. The only difference is that this time, the weapons being tested will not just destroy cities, they will control populations. Permanently, efficiently, automatically. You're not the customer. You are the product. Your face, your movements, your communications, your associations, all of it is data. And that data will be fed into systems that were perfected on people who had no choice but to generate it. The panopticon is not coming. The panopticon is here. It was just beta tested somewhere else first. If you want to understand the future, do not ask politicians. Ask engineers. Do not read diplomatic statements. Read technical specifications. Because the people building these systems are not hiding what they are doing. They are advertising it. Combat proven. That is not a warning. That is a sales pitch. And business is booming. History holds the answers. I'm just showing you where to look. The pattern is visible if you know what to search for. The laboratories of today become the realities of tomorrow. And the laboratory is open. The experiments are running. The data is being collected. And soon, very soon, the products will ship. To a city near you. Combat proven, ready for deployment. The future of control, tested in blood, sold in bulk. Subscribe for more analysis that follows the money, the technology, and the mechanisms of power. Hit the like button if you want to see where this technology goes next. Because it is going somewhere. And pretending it is not will not stop it.